So yo, what's up everybody? I've decided to do another video. I'm gonna try to keep this brief. And this extends from a dream that I had. Really two dreams, but the first one is pretty X-rated. So I'm not really going to go into detail about the first dream that I had, which was yesterday. But there was a person in that dream who was in the second dream that I had last night, or today rather. So I'm gonna speak on it, on the things that I've seen in the second dream. This person, whoever is reoccurring in my dream, keeps occurring, and it's like, even in the waking state, for whatever reason, it's like almost coerced that I'm supposed to compete with this entity, this energy, this person, these people, maybe people, but definitely this person in some type of way. And I'm nothing like this person. I've heard the similarities, the comparisons, and all that, and I personally feel I'm nothing like this person. But I get other people saying, "Oh, you know who you remind me of," or "You know who reminds me of you," and this, that, and the third. And it's just like, it's like, how you can feel like coerced into something sometimes, like you feel like something is staged. I know if you're Pisces, you definitely know what I'm talking about, because we're masters of the stage, right? But it's like one of those things, and I'm just like, I don't see it. You know what I mean? I see what y'all are egging on to, but I just don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just something that you guys want, or whatever the case may be. So, I don't fall into that trap. I just do me. You know what I'm saying? I just do me, and from being in the industries that I'm in, I already know competition exists. Soon as you enter an industry, you're competing. So it doesn't matter whether you want to say, "Oh, there's no competition, we should all work together," this, that, and the third. Okay. But as soon as you enter the business industry, as soon as you enter the business world, you enter competition. Especially on a broader scale, you enter a monopolistic economy, competition, as soon as you get into business. So it doesn't matter whether I like you or dislike you, or even if, none of that matters. We're in business, so we're automatically competing. You know what I mean? So I don't think that it's necessary to actually get at someone or try to sabotage what they're doing, or try to, take away value from whatever it is that they do, or whatever the case may be. That's just me, though. You know what I'm saying? But the person reoccurring in my dream is just making me think, like, what is the universe trying to tell me now? You know what I mean? What's this now? You know what I mean? So it was along the lines of, I had a dream about children. I woke up in Brooklyn. I seen somebody that I knew, and they were telling me about how, Brooklyn, where I reside now, Brooklyn has this, that, and the third going on with the children. So they was like making references to how Brooklyn works with kids in some type of way that was beneficial to children. So I'm like, oh yeah? So mind you, we're in Brooklyn while this conversation is taking place, not actually where I reside. We're in another place that I'm familiar with. So we leave there, and I get on a bike, and I go to another neighborhood, and I know some of the people in the neighborhood. So I'm going through on the bike, and I got my hand out, like giving everybody fives as I come through on the bike. And then, I see the person that was in my X-rated dream did like a cameo appearance, right? And I see them. So I gave them dap too, you know what I'm saying? I embraced them as well. And then I kept it pushing to somebody else that I knew. And we started talking. But I'm in kind of like another region, if you will. So we're chopping it up. But we're kicking it more along the lines of, how's it going? How you been? This, that, and the third. It's not relative to children. So the dream shifts, and I get back to Brooklyn, inside of, I guess you could say, like a building complex or whatever the case may be. And, these people inside, I did not know these people. They wanted me to guide their children in some type of way, like teach their children something, or I think even discipline their children, because they were running around like little wild, children do and shit. So I'm just like, and the reason why I'm looking at it like this, and I feel like it's staged, I feel like it's coerced, because I'm getting the feeling that these energies or these entities in my dream are wanting me to teach their children the way that the cliche way is done. And I think by cliche, I mean like community centers and babysitters and stuff like that. And I'm going to just be flat out like this. So I told myself, if the universe does want me to do something for children, I'm going to do this video. And I'm going to tell you like this. If you do have children, let your children watch my videos on the screen, on YouTube. Let your children listen to my music. Let your children look at my music videos. Let your children read my books. And I know what you may be thinking. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me. My kids are not reading your stuff. You know what I mean? Or my kids are not looking at your stuff. But let me tell you something, right? This Pluto and, let's think about the Pluto and Scorpio generation, right? Which are about, you know, the last of them are probably like 23 years old now. So 24, anywhere from 23 to 30, a little bit over 30. Your Pluto and Scorpio generation, they're like drug lords. All right. And the reason why I say that is because Pluto rules the underworld, and Pluto is a transformational sign. It digs deep, and it's also the process of elimination. So it's real evil too, but you find like the bright side of being evil. So this is what these dudes came up on, or these gals came up on. You know what I mean? Drug running and glamorizing it as well. You know what I'm saying? But that's them. That's their generation. You understand what I'm talking about? And but then you got the Pluto and Sagittarius generation coming behind them, and they're seeking truth. So this is why I say, and let me remind you, I got a 5th house Aquarius. So Aquarius rules over the internet, technology, and stuff like that. What I'm saying is I'm not the type to be in an after school center that'll be hands-on with your child. Like, hey, you know, throwing balls with them back and forth and shit. That's just not me. So this is the kind of like feeling I got while I'm in this dream. Like I'm supposed to be like other people, or supposed to run a program like other people doing it. And no, my answer is no. I will do it the way that I believe is the best way to do it, or the way that I'm fit, the way that I'm molded, the way that I'm built to actually facilitate something in your child's life. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust these babysitters and centers and stuff like that anyway, with all of this pee-pee touching going on and all of this violation of kids. I don't like that. You know what I mean? So I cannot ever be down with something like that, you know? So, you know, sure, my content may be raunchy or up the level of like along the lines of X-rated or adult type content, right? But let me tell you this, your children will go out there and they'll find out anyway. So everything that previous generations tried hiding from us, we went out and we found out on our own. So who would you rather learn from? Would you rather learn from your predecessors? Or would you rather learn from some strangers that have the potential to harm you? Like what is wrong? Like how did people even put that together? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go work all day and drop my kid off with some strangers. Like I know it takes a village, but there's just something very disturbing and distorted about that, if you ask me. So now with the technology available, and you know, your children are, and not just me, but your children are able to tap into the televisions and their devices to find out the things that they can absorb for themselves. Now, if your kid is a little wild kid that runs, I was a very disciplined child. You know what I'm saying? No matter how mischievous I was behind the scenes, I was very disciplined. Like I was exercising and drinking coffee at 6. And I know that's not for everybody, right? You'd be like, oh, you needed a fucking hug. Like something's wrong with you. Whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever your perception of me is, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But that's how I would teach your children. You understand what I'm talking about? The way that I came up, because to me, it worked for me. You know what I mean? If your kid is running around all crazy and wild, and what's wild, right, is I was awoken out of this dream by children running around all wild and crazy. You know, so the thing that I tell your children is like, I'd be like the turtles on Rikers Island. Like I would discipline. I'd put on a helmet and start slapping a stick in my hand because I'm fitting to discipline your child if they running around all crazy like that around me with no sense of direction, whatever the case may be. You know? So, but on another note, I'd rather use intellect. I'd rather use intelligence. I'd rather be able to sit a child down and say, listen, this is how this works. This is how this works. This is how this is going to work with you being under my roof as well. You know what I mean? Or in my care. This is how things are going to run. You know what I'm saying? Use intellect with the child. I don't like hearing that, oh, but they're a child. or cut them some slack. They're a child. This world doesn't cut people slack. You know what I mean? So if you rear your children up to believe stuff like that, you're opening them up for attack. You're opening them up to be vulnerable to the potential pitfalls of life. You know what I mean? And this is the Pluto, like my kid is the Pluto and Sagittarius generation. You know what I'm saying? So they're the seekers of truth, right? And what's odd, or what should I say is a little bit even more disturbing, is the Pluto and Scorpio generation is so strong that their activity is rolling over onto the Pluto and Sagittarius generation, to where, another thing, that whole emo vibe and movement that's going on, that's birthed from Pluto and Scorpio, because now you get to see how really soft and emotional a Scorpio is with that generation. It's all brought out. All of those feelings and everything that a Scorpio holds and harnesses inside secretively, Pluto just has no alternative but to show you that, find the darkness and shed light on it. So that's where that whole vibe and that whole movement is coming from. However, it's spilling over to the younger generation, and all you got to do is look at the culture to find that out. Look at what's being depicted through culture, and you'll see how much of an impact that Pluto and Scorpio generation even has on the 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. They're more in their feelings. They want to use drugs. You know what I'm saying? They want to run away from addressing their feelings one-on-one a lot with predecessors and people who are older than them, on this personal mission, as a Scorpio would, to utilize their own personal power to transform. And again, like, I don't knock them. Like, this is what I'm saying. I'll tell your children the truth of the matter, of what it really is, that you have to understand that some people are like this, some people are like that, some people are like that. But for the generation that is Pluto and Sagittarius, if you can talk to your children that is part of that generation, let them know that their generation is supposed to be the seekers of truth. So they don't have to be persuaded by what is projected in the masses. Like, that's the generation before them. Let them take that road and take that route. You know what I mean? But you know how it is. It's like gang culture. The leaders make it to a certain level, and then they want to recruit the youngins. You know what I'm saying? You pass the baton to them. But that's not what the next generation is for. The next generation, like this Pluto and Sagittarius, they're supposed to be looking at, and this is another thing, that Pluto and Scorpio generation, they supposed to like transform things as far as health goes too. You know what I mean? Like, they were supposed to do things other than just destroy. But you gotta expect it from them that they would do such a thing. I think AIDS actually came up on the scene when the Pluto and Scorpio generation began. You know what I mean? So they could have done things differently. Environmental issues is a concern during the Pluto generation. So look how a clear example of how people in power will abuse the next generation is, there should be more done about the environmental change right now, or the environmental condition right now, just because of that generation. The concern was birthed with the birth of that generation, but how much action was taken for that type of thing in the bigger scheme of things. You know what I'm saying? So this Pluto and Sagittarius generation, seek the truth. Like, I'm going to tell your children the truth. They might have to go to secret houses, podcasts and stuff, but they're going to find out the truths. And the thing about the truth is, it just is what it is. It's very wide. So with truth comes acceptance of how people are, what people are about. You know what I mean? And I don't think your children need me to be hands-on with them, throwing baseballs at them, or, showing them how to rhyme and stuff like that. Like, all of the devices are at your disposal now. You don't need a record label. You are your own record label. Like, I wouldn't teach your children any of the nonsense of buffoonery that some of these other programs are using. I wouldn't tell them to go to no aftercare government funded program Like, I'd tell them to go to their parents. You know what I'm saying? I'd tell them to go even to their immediate friends. Like, who are the people that make you feel good? Who are the people that you feel like you can talk to? You know what I'm saying? Go to those people all the time. Those are your go-tos. Not these factions or these institutions, you know? So again, and notice that my style is distance and aloof. If I say, yo, look, tell your child to look at me through a screen, that shows you even more. I got a 5th house in Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? I care, but I don't care to the point where I'm going to make home visits to check on your child. You know what I'm saying? Or that I'm going to design a retreat to Great Adventures or something. Like, I can't stand Great Adventures. Like, I'm going to be real with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't stand it. So, again, I'll teach your children intellect. You know what I mean? I'll warn them of the pitfalls and the harms. I'm not going to wait until they turn 18 and 21. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell them how babies get here. You understand what I'm talking about? If they read a book, they will understand what not having the freedoms to do certain stuff is, how that feels. You know what I mean? How it feels to climb your way to freedom. You know, I give them a little hero twist and everything, but hide the truth. Not if they ask me. Nah. Play like I'm their dad and stuff like that. Nah. I'll tell them exactly who I am. I'll tell them my real name and everything. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to do what the people before me have done and failed at. All right, I'm out.